Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. What a pleasure to be here with you today. Last week I talked about the history of my town. Today I'm talking about the history of Toastmasters International. Clear back in the year 1905, a young man named Ralph Smedley worked in Bloomington, Illinois for the YMCA. And he saw a need for the men in his community to learn how to speak and conduct meetings and plan programs and work on committees. And he wanted to help them. So he decided to organize a club where they could learn these skills in a social environment. And the men responded well to the concept. He named the group Toastmasters Club. Toastmasters happened to be a popular term back then for a person who gives toasts at banquets and other occasions. Well, this was an unofficial Toastmaster Club. And much like our meetings today, the participants took turns leading and speaking at each meeting, and the more advanced people started out doing the evaluations, and pretty soon the newer members were able to do evaluations. It wasn't long, though, that Ralph Smedley was offered a position at YMCA in a different town in Illinois. So he moved there, and the club in Bloomington lacked leadership and just it dissolved because there was no leader. Well, over time, Ralph Smedley ended up still working for YMCA, but he moved to California. And he spent the first couple of years in Santa Ana, California, helping to start a brand new YMCA, and he worked on building the building that they met in and all of that. So after 2 years, his passion to help men be able to speak better got the best of him, and he decided to try starting this Toastmaster Club again. So he did that. And the Toastmaster Club started in Santa Ana, California. And over time, he kept getting messages, letters, and what have you from people in other parts of California wanting to start a club just like the one that he started. So officially, in April of 1924, the YMCA christened their building, and Ralph Smedley's club became Club Number 1. We are Club 154, but he started Club Number 1. And it was named Toastmasters. Well, over the years, more clubs started to be formed. And by the end of the 1920s, there were like 30 clubs all in the California area. And eventually people started clubs in other areas too. As you all know, our Pendleton Club started in 1940, which is only 10 years after that. And there were so many people wanting to start clubs that Ralph Smedley wrote what he called the Manual of Instructions. And he also wrote 10 lessons in public speaking. He had those printed, and they had paper covers. And eventually, like in 1928, he secured the copyrights on those publications and named it Toastmasters Club. Well, over time, it kept growing. And by 1932, they had started a club in British Columbia. And because of that, he changed the name of Toastmasters to Toastmasters International. because we are now not just in the United States, but in another country too, in Canada. Well, eventually, in 1941, there were so many Toastmaster clubs to keep track of that he resigned his position at the YMCA and just worried about Toastmasters. He worked on it throughout the war years, and he organized everything out of a small office. After the war, a new secretary named Ted Blanding replaced Smedley, and Smedley, however, remained active as the educational director for the rest of his life. And Smedley was a permanent member of the board of directors. They eventually built a world headquarters. They rented office spaces in Southern California and served as Toastmasters International's headquarters until 1962, when the staff of Toastmasters moved to a world headquarters building in Santa Ana, California, not far from the YMCA, where he had originally started Club Number 1. Ralph Smedley passed away in 1965. In 1970, Toastmasters admitted their first female to their membership. However, it was kind of a men's-only thing before that. And in order for her to belong, she joined Toastmasters under the name Homer Blanchard instead of her real name, which was Helen. However, by 1973, Toastmasters realized that women needed to learn how to communicate and speak also. And Helen Blanchard actually, in 1985, with her real name and lots of other women joining, became the first international president that was a female. So since that time, we've had lots of males and lots of females be our president of our organization. There have been several CEOs over time. Terrence McCann happened to be an Olympic wrestler, and he was chosen in 1975 to serve as the executive director of Toastmasters International. He held that position until 2001, and he was replaced by Donna Grow, and she was the CEO until 2008, and then Daniel Rex was selected as the director, and Daniel Rex is still our director. Since 1924, when Toastmasters was official, people from diverse backgrounds have become more confident speakers and communicators and leaders. In 2018, Toastmasters moved its international headquarters from California to Englewood, Colorado, where it currently is, because the living was cheaper in Colorado than it was in California. And we currently have over 345 members, 345,000 members, and over 15,000 clubs in 142 countries. So that is the history of Toastmasters International. If you want to know more, go to toastmasters.org and you can find out more information. Mr. Toastmaster.